We are Duck Hunting Fanatics, knee deep in the duck blind. If it flies, it dies. Only Duck Hunting Fanatics know what it feels like to see a brightly colored Drake mallard cup its wings and soar towards your decoys. It's what we do, and it's what we love. Duck Hunting Fanatics, with boots on the ground, eyes in the skies reports. And we get it from professional duck guides all across the country. We interview them for their top tips and tricks from their years of experience from the duck hunting blind. This is Duck Hunting Fanatics, and this is Eric Wilkes.
Greetings, friends and fellow duck hunting fanatics. Eric Wilkes here with another episode of Knee Deep in the Duck Blind. Today we have a very special guest with us. We have Nick Johnson of the Goose Tech App, and he is a very much a honker guy. For those of you that love to hunt geese, this guy, he calls them in all day, and we were talking just a little bit before this that he could talk goose and duck hunting all day. So I'm super excited to have him on. So Nick, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you're a fellow Wisconsinite too. So, brownie points for you.
I'm a fresh Wisconsinite. I just moved out here 2 weeks ago.
I know. So we're super excited to have you. And, I know you and I were kind of chatting a little bit before we hit the record button, and you've got a wealth of knowledge and experience in calling geese. So let's just hop into it, because I know you even on YouTube, for those of you that are watching this, he even has some goose calling sequences right out on the Got Game Technologies YouTube channel. So you can just Google Nick, you'll find him. He's real easy to find when you type in Nick Johnson goose calling, you'll look him up. But jump out on YouTube. Without further ado, let's talk goose calling, man. What's your favorite strategy? What's your favorite approach?
My favorite approach is every flock is different. Every bird within every flock is different. Always start slow with them. If they want more, give them more. If they don't need more, just stick with where you're at. But yeah, when it comes to goose hunting, your number one tool is a goose call. Like geese can't not believe their ears. You know how spinning wing goose decoys don't work and geese are kind of scared of spinners? It's because a goose isn't they use audible cues for their safety clues. That's why a goose is brown and drab. It matches the surroundings. It matches dirt. It's almost camouflage. If sometimes they're hard to see out into like a stubble or a plowed field. Geese use audio clues for safety. They don't use visual cues. Like a duck, every species of duck has a white underside of their wing. Every sex, every species. A duck does not have a loud voice. They use visual cues, aka a spinner. So A spinner is so effective because a duck has visual cues for safety. Goose does not. It uses audio cues. It has a loud cracking honk. So when you get proficient on a goose call, I like to say it's like having the equivalent of a goose spinner is basically what being good on a goose call means to a goose hunter. And not only that, but sometimes ducks get a little wary of duck spinners. Geese cannot and will not ever get used to a good goose caller.
Yeah, and that's everything I've heard and been my experience too. And for the lack of a better term, we just did another podcast with a guy that does a lot of goose calling, and he basically said, you can control the geese with the call when you get really good at it. And so they have those audio cues, and I know you even do a lot of training. Like you actually teach people how to become a proficient goose caller. So talk a little bit about that.
That's what's kind of started the whole Goose Tech app. Is about 5 or 6 years ago, I started advertising goose calling lessons, and I was doing it on Facebook and I think even Craigslist. It was that long ago.
Wow. Yeah, that is a while ago.
And people were like coming over to my house, and I realized it was extremely difficult to teach people how to goose call. Even though I was a really good goose caller, that didn't exactly translate into being a great goose call teacher. So then that confused me, and I got obsessed with becoming a good goose call teacher. And so I just kept working with people, and I was trying to train them, but I was trying to train myself on how do you teach this? Because it's not that difficult to do, but it's extremely difficult to explain. And once a light bulb goes off in a guy's head, they got it. They know what they have to practice. They know how to get over the next hurdle. And it's so rewarding to work with somebody. And then I started over the years, my methodology for teaching improved and improved and improved to the point where like it was awesome working with guys. Like I wasn't worried if this lesson was going to go good or not. Like, and then I started seeking out some way to put this into a media platform. And that's when I found Got Game Technologies. And it just so happened that at the same time, they have like an elk calling app, a deer calling app, a turkey calling app. And at that time they were looking for a guy to do a goose calling app. And I was like, oh my God, we met at the perfect time. I'm your goose calling app guy. And we signed the contract and we came out with the Goose Tech app.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, again, for those of you that are kind of listening, it's called the Goose Tech app. I mean, just look it up. It's on all the app stores. It's really easy to find. You can even just Google it and you'll see it's all over the place. But in terms of upping your goose calling game, this is it. If you're wanting to learn the basics, maybe you're new, maybe you're advanced, maybe you're experienced and just looking for something different and a way to kind of expand your horizons and get a different viewpoint on it, or a different strategy or approach, go check it out. So in terms of areas of the country to hunt, where's your favorite area to hunt and why?
I'd never tell you that over. Some of my most favorite spots to hunt geese are Winnipeg, Manitoba. Colorado is a great area to hunt Canada geese. And there's going to be great hunting everywhere across the country at certain times of the year for certain species. Yep, exactly. Figuring that out, like we were talking about Arizona. I hunted honkers in Arizona last year just because we also were talking about how we hate hunting in the cold. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun to hunt honkers in Arizona in December last year. But I've traveled for ducks. My favorite place that I've been there twice now, is Mexico.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Most definitely Mexico, hands down, lights out. I know you can shoot a lot of mallards in Canada and Saskatchewan, and you're not going to shoot any mallards in Mexico, but you are going to shoot the most plumed out, beautiful widgeons and teal and pintails. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I have to ask, like, why goose calling? Like, what actually got you into goose calling and starting this venture that you're doing now, teaching others, but what really got you into it?
I love calls and I love calling. I started being a competitive duck caller, and that's really where I had the most competition success, is in duck calling. Sure. But there was room for improvement on the goose calling instructional side of things. Whereas I was looking at like all the duck calling instructional stuff, and there wasn't much to expand on. But with the goose calling, there really was. And guys were using all the instructionals that were out there and still kind of hitting these walls and these commonplace hurdles that they could not get over. So some like this one-on-one instruction really helped people get over. And when it comes to goose calling, it is so important, and it will change your goose hunting success so much. I like to encourage like a full frontal assault. Get the Goose Tech app, get yourself a couple, 2 or 3 really nice goose calls. My buddy Joe Heinz has this. Joe Heinz and Scott Trinan run an app called the Roost TV, which is only $4 a month. Scott Trinan is like a pioneer in goose calling instructionals, and he's got tons of content on there. I like to promote his stuff, promote Goose Tech, buy some new goose calls, whatever it takes to get your goose calling game up for next season. Take those steps, because the rewards are just almost infinite. The rewards are so great. So just whatever it takes to get guys on that next level. And awesome. I love goose calling.
That's awesome. Well, and I know you got your own goose call, I believe, as we were talking there at the beginning. I think you've got your own goose call coming out this year, no?
They came out last year, and we're going to expand on the line. But I worked with Pacific Calls out of Spokane, Washington, and we came out with a pretty unique little design. I hand tune all of them. I also tune people's goose calls for free if they just send them to me.
Awesome.
I advertise that like on my social media. Like anybody who, if they're questioning, like, I don't know if this goose call is tuned up, we'll clean it up and send it to me. And I'm a goose hunter's advocate. I want people to experience the best goose hunting has to offer in the world.
There you go. Best way to cook a goose.
The best way to cook a goose is you bring all those breast meats to the butcher shop, and you have them make hamburger out of it. And I add 30% beef fat to it. And then all year long, I'm having honker hamburger helper, honker meatloaf, honker spaghetti. And I just, the best way, I don't even remember what cow burger tastes like.
That's awesome. That's a lot of honkers.
Well, like I've done it before. Here's the thing. I've done it before where you bring it all in there and you're like, I'll take these jalapeno cheese sticks and all this stuff. Well, then they give you back like 200 pounds of jalapeno, like summer sausage, and they charge you $1,000 for it.
Exactly.
Bring it in there, get burger made. They charge $2 a pound. You get all, and it's super lean. So anything like meatloaf is really good, or anything that lean burger works great for. Plus, it's really healthy. It's really cheap. And me and my wife love eating goose burger.
There you go. And there's so many things you can do it. You can make your own jerky and get your own jalapenos and, do all the fancy stuff with it if that's your MO. And I'm a huge fan of burger, whether it's in your case, goose burger, venison burger, you name it. And there's so many different things you can do with it. So we go through that like crazy, and most of it's wild game, and it is just absolutely delicious. I even make all my own jerky, all that good stuff too. So you can really just like, the sky is the limit in terms of like what your mix-ins are and the flavors that you can come up with. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So there you guys have it. One last question. Biggest piece of advice you'd give to someone who's maybe new to goose hunting?
Practice your calling. It's not about having the biggest decoy spread or the best looking decoys. Just study the weather and migration patterns, and practice your calling. If you practice your calling and you get proficient on a goose call, I promise you can do something, like you said, you can control them.
Exactly.
And don't be afraid to be bad at goose calling for a while. The first step to getting kind of good at something is sucking at something.
Be bad at it. Yep, exactly. If you're calling and they're not coming in, you're not doing something right.
Right. So
you're doing something wrong.
full frontal assault. Look into the Goose Tech app. Look into the Roost TV and Joe Heinz and Scott Trinan's content. That they've got awesome content they're putting out. And any instructionals you can find and get your hands on, absorb it. And if you want to experience goose hunting the way the professionals do, step one, get good at a goose call.
Well, there you have it right there, folks. Well, hey, Nick, I want to thank you for your time and jumping on with us. Would love to have you on another episode as we get closer to the season, because it's literally right around the corner. And for those of you that are listening and just tuning in, we're speaking with Nick Johnson of the Goose Tech App. It's on all the app stores that are out there on both Android and on iPhone, on the Apple App Store. So go check it out. Download his app. He's going to walk you through some instruction. Check him out on YouTube too. If you want just a preview, if you're not quite sold yet on what the app and his teachings can do, go check out some of his top goose calling sequences that he has right out on YouTube. Just Google Nick Johnson goose calling sequences and you'll find it. It's right on the Got Game Technologies YouTube channel. So Nick, thanks again for being here, man. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It was a lot of fun talking goose talk.
Absolutely, man. We'll have you on another episode. I want to thank our listeners really quick too for tuning in. We appreciate you, and I know if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to keep doing these shows. So thanks for tuning in and listening, and This is Eric Wilkes and Nick Johnson signing off. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you on another episode of Knee Deep in the Duck Blind.
We are Duck Hunting Fanatics. Knee deep in the duck blind. If it flies, it dies.